Happy Friday, everybody. Thank you so much for downloading or streaming the Be Our Guest podcast. Today, we are back with a great trip report on a Friday, and it's Rikki's Disney Fantasy Cruise. She went out to sea just a couple of weekends ago, and we hear all about her 5-night sailing to the Bahamas. She visited both Castaway Cay and Lighthouse Point and Lookout Cay as well. So we talk about the differences in the two islands, her first visit there, her guarantee stateroom where she stayed in an Oceanview facing the very front of the ship on deck 7. Her thoughts on the dining. She went to Palo twice. Getting away as a couple. They left Lucy with the grandparents, so they got a little adult time there because, you know, raising a 2-year-old is a busy task there for two parents. And adventures that happened on the way to the port, you'll never believe it. It's kind of crazy. The entertainment, the just all the fun that you have on a Disney cruise. And I know it's been a cold week here in the States, so let's go somewhere tropical and hear all about Rikki's cruise on today's show. Don't forget, today's podcast always brought to you by the Magic for Less Travel. We'd love to help you plan your next Disney adventure for no additional cost to you. Check out all the details today over at themagicforless.com. Please also use our Amazon affiliate link when you shop online. That one extra click supports everything we do throughout the year. It's beourguestpodcast.com/Amazon. And thank you so very much to our Patreon supporters. You guys keep us on the air. I cannot thank you enough for that. You can support us as well, just $5 a month. And for that support, you get a bonus show called Mike in the Midwest. Come over this week. We'd sure love to have you. Patreon.com/beourguestpodcast.
Ready to take a trip to the world? You found the Be Our Guest Walt Disney World Trip Planning Podcast. This is where your memories come front and center on our podcast stage.
Welcome to episode 2645 of the Be Our Guest Walt Disney World Trip Planning Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Rallman from beourguestpodcast.com and one of the senior agents over at the Magic for Less Travel. Happy Friday to you. Yes, we made it to another weekend. Unfortunately, this weekend is only 2 days long for everybody here in the United States. I know we've been getting used to those 3-day weekends, Super Bowl weekends, all the good stuff, but you know what? We just got to get back to reality. It's going to be 2 days, but hey, it's okay. We're fine. You know, spring break's around the corner for all of our teachers that are in that grind right now. The podcast cruise is coming up, you know, in a few months for all of us that are going to be sailing the Magic here soon. Not that we're all dreaming about cruising, because that's what we're talking about today. And we have a lot of folks getting ready to run down at Princess this weekend, and we're so proud of you. Everybody arriving today. A lot of folks arrived yesterday, getting ready to run all those magical miles. We'll be following, from a distance here back home, and everybody getting ready to run. Have some fun, enjoy, and post all the pictures so we can see all your accomplishments. We're proud of you already. But today, we're going to be talking cruising, and we got the 3 big cruise fans here today. So joining me from up in the mitten, Scotty G from Must See Adventures. What's up, Scott?
Happy Princess 5K Day. This is my favorite Run Disney weekend of them all. And I just wish everyone has a great race. I hope the weather works out for you. We're recording a little early. Looks like there could be a couple dicey days, but just enjoy the memories, enjoy the miles, and just make it an awesome Run Disney weekend.
Yes. Princess, we always say Princess typically has the best weather. It's looking a little sketch as we're recording, but, a lot of time to change. And you know what? The race weekends are what you make them. You know what? The weather can affect it or not. So even if you got a little bit of drizzle, a little bit, just get out there and just, splash through the puddles if you have to and make the memories, get the photos, get the medals, and just have a blast with everybody that's down there. That's what I say.
Absolutely.
Scott, so you've done Princess. I mean, it's do you have a memory from Princess? I know you've run with Emily and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think Emily's first half was Princess. Yeah, Nice. It was actually. So, and it was 2023. It was after those awful events that happened in my hometown at Michigan State. So a lot of emotions were happening leading up to that race. And then me and Emily did that together. I remember I dressed up as like a Sparty guy. I wore a foam finger the whole race. I remember that. And it was just super cool just crossing that finish line with her as she finished her first half, her first like challenge. She did the whole 19.3. It was just that will always be my all-time favorite Princess memory for sure.
Yeah, I have that picture. That's one of your icons for something on like a computer of mine or something. When you pop up, like that's you, because you're doing the big,
with my
you
foam
get the foam finger.
finger.
You're
Party
totally
up, man. That was a
smarty, man.
rough time, and we're still like recovering from that, man. It's like the 2-year anniversary of that just happened, actually. So, but yeah, I mean that Princess Weekend is just my favorite. I don't know why. I just love the theme. I love the weather is a little bit better in my opinion. I like getting away to Walt Disney World in February more than January. It's just awesome weekend.
It is. All right. Also joining us, we have Rikki from a DisneyWorldAfterAll.com and the Mouse for Less. And Rikki, before we dive into, because you're going to be the star of today's show, talking about your fantasy cruise last weekend, but we need to let everybody know about our live show coming from Give Kids the World that is going to be the weekend of March 7th and 8th.
Yes.
So what is the update on that? Because we need everybody to make sure that they're joining us on that Saturday from 10 to 4. They need to block out those 6 hours to call in and join us live on all the places, because I can't wait to be live. That's going to be fun.
Yeah,
but what else is going on with that? What's the update?
It's going to be such a great experience, such a great show. For those who don't know, we are raising money for Give Kids the World. So we are going to be live from the village. It is near and dear to my heart this weekend. Always is. I love being able to help raise money for critically ill children and the village overall, and it's such an amazing weekend. For those who would like to donate items, we do still need items. So on the Be Our Guest podcast Facebook page, there is a pinned post. I made sure to pin it so that people could actually find it, and it is there's a document with directions on what you'll need to do, because this year you're actually sending the items to the village. So you're not sending them to me, which is a little bit off my plate, which is kind of nice, especially having a almost 2-year-old. But we're gonna send it to the village, and so there's a form that you need to fill out for it's going to have information about what the items are. You have to send in a photo and things like that. But all the information about what you need to do is on the Be Our Guest podcast Facebook page in that pin post. It's very simple, very easy. We made it really, really, really easy to understand. But, we're looking for all kinds of items to be able to donate. So if you are crafty, if you make things, send those. Well, obviously, preferably Disney, but it doesn't have to necessarily be Disney. Look, I'm going to be honest. I go to Burlington. Burlington has like those clearance Disney items that they, that were in the parks, and then they go I think they probably go to the outlets, and then when they can't sell them at the outlets, they then sell them into Burlington. I'll go there, pick up items, and I have like a stockpile in my closet here that I'm gonna donate for Give Kids the World. So I have ears and stuff like that. So if you make ears or purses or anything like that, but if you go and buy things, that's great too. If just lots of things. It's such a great event. And then, of course, during the event, you can take part in the auction, which is where all these items will be available. There'll be a website that you can go from Give Kids the World to bid on these items. But then you can also make donations as well. So, there'll be a place specifically to be able to make donations to Give Kids the World. Like I said, this is our big fundraiser. We are doing this with Magical Wishes for Kids, great partners of ours. We love them so very much. And yeah, it's going to be a great weekend. I'm so looking forward to it. So, I can't believe we are less than a month away. It's insane. So, please donate, please.
I know. My dad's running the board for us, so we are set. I'm excited, so I don't have to sweat out setting everything up this year.
I mean, just saying less than a month away. It's like 2 weeks from.
I know.
So I'd say it's definitely less than a month away.
Less than a month away. And yes, you can still send in items. You can still make items and send them in. As long as they just get them in ASAP. But there's still time. So don't feel like, oh ticking. No, it's only 2 weeks left. You can still get those items in. So no worries. So.
All right. So but do join us again. It's Saturday, March 8th. I know because my wife's birthday. I'm going to be gone on my wife's birthday because of this. So I'm catching some heat. But she loves it because she loves Give Kids World. She's fine with that. Her birthday's on that Friday. We'll be volunteering that day. But she's not coming down. She's doing other things. But so we're going to be celebrating early. But join us on Saturday, March 8th from 10 to 4 because we'll be live just like this in all the places. We want to have tons of people tuned in live. And then what we do is we will rebroadcast the show in chunks like each hour throughout the year. So if you don't tune in live, you'll be able to catch the replays. But we'll have interviews, folks from the village. We'll take calls. We'll do drafts during the show, stuff like that. So we'll, lister questions, all kinds of stuff. So it'll be like a 6-hour live call-in show, all that fun stuff. But 10 to 4 Eastern time on Saturday, March 8th. So join us for that. All right. We are going to jump into Rikki's cruise. She just got back from the Disney Fantasy 5-night Bahamian, correct?
Yes.
Because you went to
Bahamian,
Lighthouse
yes.
and Castaway. All
Yes.
right. So tell us about how you, why'd you pick the fantasy? Why'd you decide to go then and all that stuff? And then let's jump into the cruise, the highlights. What'd you got?
Yeah. So Brian and I were we were on my birthday trip at Animal Kingdom Lodge, and we were just sitting there talking, and we're like, we really haven't taken a vacation this year. We didn't have a vacation planned for last year. So we were like, what do you want to do? And so we were talking and trying to figure it out. And we knew we wanted to go on a cruise. We were trying to figure out what cruise we could actually go on, what would work, what would make sense for, our schedule. And this February cruise just sort of popped up. It was a 5-night. We wanted a 5-nighter. We would have loved to have done a 7-night, but being away, because we actually left Lucy with Grandma and Grandpa, so being away from Lucy would have been a lot for 7 nights. We didn't want to do that to Grandma and Grandpa, so we figured 5 nights was the most we could stretch it, because I don't want to do a 3-night and 4-night. We had just done a 4-night on our last cruise, so we were like, let's try something a little bit different. So this was the one that sort of just popped up on our radar. We would have loved to have gone on the podcast cruise, but unfortunately in Atlanta, there's the All-Star game in July, so Brian can't get away. So we were like, okay, well, this is the one that we can actually fit into our schedule. So that's kind of how we came up with it. We came up with it sitting on lounge
hang
chairs.
on. You saying Brian's an all-star?
Yes,
he's
exactly.
He's playing in the All-Star game this year. That's sweet. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All
He's
right,
totally playing in the All-Star game. Yeah.
Shortstop.
He's going to be preaching to all the fans in the state.
Exactly.
Brother Brian. Nice.
Yeah. So yeah, we came up with the cruise idea, sitting on a lounge, actually sitting in the hot tub at Animal Kingdom Lodge. That's usually where we come up with our ideas for vacations, is while we're on vacation.
Yeah.
We think of the next vacation that we're going to take.
That's time to do it.
Yeah, exactly. I agree. I've done that too.
Yes. So that's how we came up with this. And the fantasy was the one that popped up. Of course, I would have loved to have done the treasure, but like I said, 7 nights just wasn't in the cards for us. So
and the thing is, it's always going to be there, right? I mean, it's
exactly.
like the next one's always on the horizon. So okay, so you picked the Fantasy's a great ship. And, now it's it's weird because the Fantasy was locked into the 7-night Eastern to Western for like 5-7 years. I mean, that's all it did. It just alternated Eastern Western out of Canaveral. Now it's for me, because as a travel agent, it's hard to learn. Oh, good, Fantasy's not doing 7-nighters now. It's a treasure, and things are really weird with the new ships coming in, Destiny and everything. So it's hard to teach an old dog new tricks. What I'm saying, but so now you're doing.
Fantasy's going to the UK soon too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
yes.
That's going to totally screw me up when it's over in Europe.
The people on the ship, and they, the cast members on the ship, and they were talking about the fact that they were going overseas to the UK, and then the Fantasy does go for dry dock at the end of this year too. So we were talking about that a lot too. Yeah.
By the way, just real quick, do you have Morgan as the adult activities host? Was she?
No,
there?
we had Emmy.
Okay.
She's from Australia. Emmy was a lot of fun. She was really good.
I've seen Emmy before on a ship. Now you see that from Australia. I gotta go back and some of my notes.
She was a lot of fun. Yeah.
Because Emmy was from the UK, and that was hard. She was fun. Anyway, so tell us. Let's kind of break it down like I do kind of on the Monday shows. So arrival on the Fantasy. You've been on You've been on the Fantasy before, right?
We have. This was our.
She was on the podcast cruise on the Fantasy.
Yeah, so that was in 20. That would have been 2017, right?
Yeah, so this was our second time on the Fantasy. I believe it was number 2. Yeah.
Okay, so
the only ones I haven't done now are the Wonder and the Treasure. Those are the only 2 that I haven't done still. So, so a little bit of a lead up for this cruise. My stress level was at an all-time high getting to this cruise, because let's see, 2 days before, I was packing. It was like 9:30 at night. And Brian's like, hey, I'm gonna go for a walk around the neighborhood. And I said, okay, that's fine. So I was packing everything, and he's gone for about 5 minutes, and he comes back in the house, and he's like, babe, I need you to call 911. And I was like, okay. And he's like, I just got attacked. I got punched in the head, and my phone got stolen. So legit, it's happened.
Brian always has the best stories, by the way. I mean, not that this is a good story, but he always has like stories. I mean, he's the world. He's very interesting.
Yes. So it was 10 o'clock at night, and I'm calling the cops. It's super fun. Like 2 days before our cruise. Needless to say, I was definitely a little panicky about that. The next day we had to go get him a new phone because he needed his phone for the cruise because he was going to be working from the ship. And so because we were buying the internet package, so he needed a phone. So we had to go get him a phone. I got him a cheap phone. So then the next day, the day before we leave, Brian wakes me up and he's like, hey, so Lucy threw up. So so I had to work from home that day. I had a sick baby on my hands, and by the way, we were driving down that night, so I was like, stress level was at an all-time high driving down. She got sick a few times in my car. It was super fun, let me tell you. I'm masked up because I know you can't be sick on a cruise, and windows down as I'm driving down there, and I'm just like, I just need to get down to Orlando. That's all I need. I need to get to my mom and dad's. I need to get to Orlando. So my stress level was probably at like a 25 at that point by the time I was getting ready to get to the ship.
So wait, Brian got jumped like right outside your house, like in your neighborhood?
It was the street behind us.
Oh my gosh.
Yes. So anyway,
we're gonna find those guys. We're
super fun 48 hours before my ship.
All right, so let's get to the cruise because we only got like 45 minutes. I mean, we can totally get into all that.
I know, right?
Holy cow. You're stressing me out.
We get on the ship. We had an 11:45 port arrival time, but we had to go drop the dog off at my brother's. And making sure Lucy was okay that morning, so we got a little delayed. So we didn't get to the port until about 1:30, which actually was fine. We didn't necessarily get on as early as we wanted to, but we breezed through everything. So that part was really great, honestly. If you are looking to breeze through, that 1:30 time is like perfect because I mean we just walked.
I'm just glad you guys made the sail away. Like
yeah, I know, right? Yeah. No, we were fine. Sail away wasn't until like 4. We're fine. So we were all good. And then we went and got lunch, and it was a little bit different, everything, but everything was great. Once we got on the ship, it was all good. This trip was different because we booked it so late. We had a later dining time. So we had the 8:15 dining time, and that is actually the first time we've ever had that. I have to say, I kind of loved it.
So we're doing that on
it's so much better.
We're doing that on the podcast cruise this time for the first time ever. We're all doing it. Like I put us all on 8:15 because it was requested.
It's so much better.
A lot of people requested that on the last podcast cruise. We've never done it, and we're going to try it. So
I absolutely loved it. So a couple of things. One, because it was apparently the ship was full. I had heard that part. So, but we still ended up with a table to ourselves. So Brian and I ended up just having a table for 2, which was great, because we don't get to have dinner by ourselves very often since we had Lucy. So like, it was really nice to have kind of date nights on our table. We had a fantastic server. His name was Lazar. Lazar was so good. He kind of had like this dry, sarcastic sense of humor, but it was right up my alley. So like we got along really well. He had great recommendations. Matter of fact, when I went off recommendation, I ended up regretting it and ended up getting the thing that he ended up recommending later. Our best meal actually ended up being, besides Palo, which we'll get to, our best meal actually ended up being at an Enchanted Garden. They had a fish that he suggested. I never would have gotten it if he hadn't suggested it. And it was seriously like the best fish I've ever had in my entire life. So it was so good. So I wasn't really necessarily looking forward to the restaurants on the ship, just because obviously, with like the Wish and the Wonder and the Magic, they all have a theme, at least one theme, really highly themed dining experience. And because of the fantasy when it was built, it didn't really have that kind of experience, and I don't think they're getting one during the dry dock either. So there's not really a show or anything like that. So you do have, of course, Crush, but that's really just the same as Turtle Talk with Crush. So I don't necessarily love that. And I wish they'd do something else there as well. I like a more traditional like Mickey Mouse show in that space. I would love to see that happen, but I don't think that will. But
I like that one, but can I ask you a question? So did you have animators twice? Because isn't there one night like you can draw like your own animation, right?
So they didn't do that.
Oh,
that is on the as far as I know, that's on the Magic. I know
that was on the Fantasy when we went. Like we did. It was on the Fantasy when we did it. Yeah, because we did.
No, they did not do that.
That's why 7-nighters. I wonder.
Maybe because you animate.
What they ended up doing was I actually liked it better, to be perfectly honest. They had animation cells of all the past Disney movies, so you got to see like the artwork of maybe how Ursula originally was concept designed as, or you got to see the original concept design of say Maleficent, or things like that. So it was really interesting to see how the characters, the movies progressed as they went through the process of creating them. So I actually thought that was a really good animator's palette experience. That was our first night, actually. So that was good. But the 8:15 dining experience, you guys are going to enjoy it so much. It was so great because you didn't feel like you had to rush. Like as soon as you get back on the ship from, the Port Adventures or, Castaway or whatever, like you immediately have to rush. You have to go change. You have to take a shower. You have to do whatever. And this really just gave us time to just relax. We actually saw the shows for the first time in a while because we had time to really see them instead of feeling like we were being rushed into a show and then, whatever. The only downfall was usually we're used to going to the Rainforest Room after dinner because we did buy the Rainforest Room package. And obviously we can't do that because by the time we're done with dinner, it's over, it's 10 o'clock almost. So that was the only thing that we had to adjust. The other thing, of course, is adjusting to the fact that as soon as you're done with dinner, you pretty much go into the tube or, whatever for the evening show, the adult only show or whatever. But that was the 8:15 dining experience is so great. I would highly suggest it. And I will probably be doing that from now on. So that was really,
it's my
really
go-to.
good.
I love second dining so much.
Yeah. And I think it's going to work out really well for our podcast crews because we have a lot of adults, and I think it'll be really, like you said, like it's when you get off Castaway and look out, you'll give time to kind of wash up. If you want to go see the show, then come to dinner. And then we can all roll kind of right into the evening activities down in the adult area if you want to.
And I know about the fantasy, but just really quick on the Wish. It works out so well on the Wish because the Festival of Foods closes from 6 to 9 on the Wish. So if you're on that first dining, then you can't go back to it. So it's really nice for when you come back from your excursion or whatever, and you just grab a taco or something and hold you over for a little bit, and then you have dinner. Where vice versa, you can't do that if you have early dining. Your only option is the pizza later on when it's open. So I really like that on the Wish.
That part is big. The other thing I noticed as well, Cabanas is not open for dinner anymore, which it used to be prior to COVID. But it is not open at dinner any longer. At least it wasn't.
Can you still walk through there though?
I mean, you can walk through there, but there's no food. I mean, you're just
sometimes it's nice to just grab something and just sit down.
Yeah, that's true. Right? That's true. Yeah.
Where Marceline Market, they just
they board it off and they're like, do not enter. Yeah.
Which I dislike, but
yeah.
Okay, so tell us about your stateroom because you kind of talked about that on Wednesday. You had a unique stateroom. So where were you? What category? Tell us about that.
So I don't know what category, but we were in room 7004. It was literally
the Oceanview, right?
Huh?
Was it
Oceanview? It was Oceanview.
Okay,
yeah, it was an Oceanview room. I booked it as a GTY guaranteed room. That's kind of my go-to, especially when I'm booking later, to just book a GTY room because of the fact that I always book whichever category I'm comfortable with. So for this one, we were comfortable with doing an Oceanview room. Usually I'm comfortable with the inside stateroom, but this time we were like, it was like a couple $100 more. So we were like, let's just go for it. But the nice thing about a GTY room is you have the possibility of potentially, if that category is sold out, of going up to the of Disney and bumping you up to the next category. It's never happened for me, and I've booked a GTY room, quite a few times. But at least I have the opportunity potentially of getting a surprise. And the nice thing about this one was a lot of times you don't find your room out until like really close to your actual sailing. This time I knew my room. I mean, I want to say it was definitely prior to the 90 days of being able to book.
Mine was like the week before.
Yeah. So see, that's it just you never know which way it's gonna go. So it was a great room though. So because it was in the front of the ship, I literally had the view out the bridge. Like what the captain sees is what I saw, which was really, really, really neat. The only downfall of the room, and I say this in quotes, is the fact that because it was in the front of the ship, obviously the ship is slanted right there. It's got kind of a slant. So our room had kind of a slant in the for the ceiling. So it worked out because I just took that side of the bed because that's where
hilarious.
the bed was.
That's kind of a cool, unique room. I kind of like that.
It's like the Love Boat.
I have video of it, and it'll be up on a Disney World After All's socials here as soon as I get the chance to edit it. But yeah, it was a really unique room. Now, the other part of it that was really cool is it actually felt a little bit wider than other staterooms as well that I've been in. So it just felt like a good size room. It had the split bath in it too, which usually, I guess because I usually get an interior room, it's usually just the one bath. But this one had the shower and the sink, and then it had the toilet and the sink as well in the other side. So it was a really great room. I highly suggest it. They obviously had the same room on the Dream as well. So if you're sailing either the Dream or the Fantasy, that's going to be on that ship. So it was really cool. It was a really cool room. So
sweet.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So let's talk entertainment.
What deck were you on again? What deck was it?
7.
7. Okay.
7. Yeah. So it was great because we were halfway. We could walk. Yeah, 7. We could walk up to the top deck, or we could walk down below, and we didn't feel like super winded because we don't usually like to take the elevators unless I'm on deck 2 and need to go to deck 11. I'm not usually taking the elevator. I'm usually walking it. So that part was nice too. Was we were right in the middle of that. So
all right. So because I want to hear about Lookout, but I kind of want to save that.
Yes.
But entertainment, like shows, not only the big shows, but like the stuff in the like in the tube and stuff like that.
Yeah. So we had Frozen, which I had never seen on a Disney cruise ship before. So that was spectacular. I really love the fact the puppets that they used for that show are so well done. The actors did such a great job with the performance. I didn't realize how much I liked the song Fixer Upper. And then I saw it on the stage and I'm like, that's actually a much better song than I thought it was.
That crew, I mean, that's on the Fantasy is really, they're good, man. They do all those shows so good. Yeah. I mean, I think that's the crew, like fleet wide. Their performers are amazing.
Excellent. And then we also saw Aladdin, which I know we've seen on the ship. Brian didn't remember seeing it before, but again, they did such a phenomenal job, and they kind of like combined some of the obviously the animated version, but they also combined some of the live action version of the movie into the show. So there's a song that Jasmine sings now that was not in the animated version but was in the live action version, so they brought that in. But they did a really good job. We didn't see Believe. Brian was a little stressed at that point, but because he was actually figured out a way to work, so he was checking emails and he had a stressed out moment at that point, so we didn't end up going to see Believe. But overall, again, the shows were phenomenal. They were really good. As far as the movies that were on board, we didn't see any of those either. They had, Moana 2. They had a few others. They didn't have Captain America yet because that hadn't come out. But, they had, I know Moana 2 was playing like all the time. They had Descendants showing as well. And then, of course, we were on the ship for the Super Bowl. So that was actually really interesting because I was curious to see how they were going to do it. We didn't care about the Super Bowl. Like we kind of caught a little bit, here and there. We went all over the ship to see kind of where they were showing it. They were showing it in O'Gill's, of course, which was packed. of course.
That place is, I love O'Gill's on the Fantasy. That place is awesome.
It was great though. The atmosphere was fantastic.
Yes.
I mean, those people were there for the game for sure. Yeah, they played it on the Funnel Vision, which again was such a great spot to watch the Super Bowl. You know, just up there. You know, obviously there were a lot of Eagles fans on board.
So they were, and you know, if it's an Eagles fan, you know them. They
you
let
do.
You know.
Yes, you could find them. They also played it at Currents Bar. Actually, we sat outside of there for a while and caught it there. And they played it in the Buena Vista Theater as well, which I was surprised. The theater was pretty empty. I mean, there were a few people in there, but not nearly as many as I thought there'd be. So everybody was definitely in the other areas.
Yeah,
for sure,
that's not a great place. I wouldn't watch it in the movie theater. It's too intimate. You know what I'm saying? Like I want to be like either on deck outside, like or like in O'Gill's because it's like a sports pub. You know.
The one spot that I thought. It was actually interesting because that was the night of Frozen. So I was really surprised that they decided to continue with that and do Frozen that night. I thought for sure that they would
show it in the Walt Disney Theater. Yeah,
I thought for sure they'd just swap things around because they had a cappella act that we also did not catch. We caught them in the tube the night before they performed in the Walt Disney Theater, but
were they the people that had like the pipes and stuff and like the
no. This was oh no, what was their name? They're from Orlando too.
Buckets and
I can't
boards.
think of their name. Their name starts with an E, and I can't remember what it was.
I love those just random people that do that stuff, though. They're good.
But I was surprised that they didn't swap them out, you know, and do them the night of the Super Bowl and Frozen the night. Yeah, but anyway, that was just a little like minor thing that I was like, that was an interesting choice.
It is interesting.
But the shows were great. Of course, we had Match Your Mate, right? Excuse me. Match Your Mate was fantastic. So we saw this couple getting on the ship when we were boarding, and they were getting married at Castaway Cay, and so of course they were one of the couples that was chosen. And then because they were there with their family, their parents were also chosen to go up on stage. So you know it's awkward when mom and dad are up on stage.
No thanks.
So it was a very interesting Match Your Mate. Yeah, for sure. Mom and dad were very entertaining for sure, to say the least. So we had a good time with that. The other shows, you know, they were good. Emmy was our host, like I said, and she did a fantastic job. Emmy and Coops. I don't know if anybody else has had Coops before, but they were fantastic. It was, let me just put it this way. I don't know how you feel about this, Scott, because obviously your shows were in Luna, and it's a much different experience being in Luna. And Brian and I were talking about this, and we think that why it's better on the classic ships is because it is more intimate, and those kinds of shows, like the 18 plus shows, they need that more intimate atmosphere. I feel like to kind of be successful, people kind of, I don't want to say they lose their inhibitions, but I feel like they lose their inhibitions. You know what I'm saying? Like you can have a little more fun when you're not kind of on display, I feel like. So Match Your Mate was so much better on the Fantasy. When we were on the Wish, it was like the most awkward Match Your Mate I've ever been in. And actually Brian and I left early because it was so boring. So, you know, I feel like the space lends itself better for the adult entertainment on the tube. And I don't know how you feel about that, Scott. I'll ask you that question.
I mean, Luna's not the worst space. It's Trident across the hall that really bugs me.
Oh, yeah.
Because that is such a small, tiny venue.
It is very tiny.
At least Luna has like the upper seating, and then it's actually like more comfortable than the theaters. Like the seats are wider for like a bigger guy like me, so it's a lot more comfortable. But so I kind of like Luna. The weird thing is though, is that they had to monitor that so closely with
kids,
minors coming in.
Yeah.
So there's constantly cast members walking around checking for minors, you know, and that's like kind of like makes the experience a little less, because then you're like constantly looking for people, like they just kind of get in the way sometimes. You know what I mean?
I get that. Yeah.
But
for sure.
Side note, if anyone didn't listen to Monday's show, friends of the podcast, Neil and Allie, won Match Your Mate on mine. So
that's awesome! Congrats!
The Match Your Mate was highly entertaining because we knew we're friends with one of the couples.
And congrats to them for the wedding, right? They got married.
Their wedding was gorgeous.
That's awesome. I'm so happy for them. That's so fantastic.
Yeah, I will say too, just on that note, I do like because right, like on the Dream and the Fantasy, like the Tube, you can get that place dark and like you're
Yes.
totally locked in. Like I mean, even to walk into the Tube or Evolution, like you got to go through that like long hallway. Like it is totally secluded, and I like that in the adult venue. Because even on but the way they're using, I forget what they call it on. It starts with an S on the Treasure.
Oh, Sarabi.
Sarabi or whatever it's called.
I think
but it's the same venue as Luna, right? But they use it more for like this awesome show, like an adult show, like it was like an improv show.
Yeah.
It was awesome for that, like because I was watching it from the upper deck and like they're doing this like Adventurers Club, like kind of Indiana Jones type improv show where the audience is like,
and I like the upper deck.
It was great, like it was awesome for that. But you're right, it's not as great for like like being up close and like some kind of like crazy wild adult trivia kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like, it's not a
but with
catch-all.
Luna though, like. I think it's actually better than Evolution in a way in the Tube because you can be closer in the upper level, and you have like if you're in one of those corner booths in the corner, those round booths, you can like see the TVs, which I know is not the same as watching it filmed. But if you're in Evolution and if you're way in the back, like
true.
you can't see anything. You know what I mean? Because
true.
that's a huge space, and like so you could walk into the club and then see it's full, and then you go to the left, you're at a high top, and like. You can't see anything sometimes in that theater. I feel like where Luna, you can see a little bit more.
Yeah, I've never gotten to those locations late.
Yeah, I'm always like right up front. I've never like
but sometimes it's hard to get up.
I know, but I'm always there because I'm all in on that stuff. I love that. So you're right. It's a good point. I mean, there's more good seats in like the newer, the Wish and the Treasure. That's a good point. Okay, so let's hear about first. Let's go with Lookout because that's what everybody wants to know about. It's the newest place. So what'd you think of Lookout? Then we can talk about Castaway. But Lookout.
Yeah. So obviously everybody discusses the long walk. I mean, it's definitely a walk, I will say. It is, and Brian and I were talking about it too, and it was a very pleasant day that we were taking this walk. So it wasn't terribly hot. It was, it was nice. It was like low 80s. So like it was definitely a manageable walk. But I can see we're in the summer where it might get a little toasty. And you might want to make sure you have some water with you while you're walking that stretch. But I will say once you get to Lookout, it is so unique. Brian and I had this discussion on the differences between Lookout and Castaway, and really I think what it boils down to is Castaway is more of a relaxation experience. You go there to sit on the beach and totally relax, get immersed in just that whole vibe. Whereas with Lookout, absolutely, you can go and relax on the beach and have a good time and whatever, and you're going to enjoy your day at the beach, right? But because but we really feel like it's more of a celebration of the Bahamian culture. So I feel like there's more activity on the island overall than there is on Castaway, because of the fact that they have some shows that you can go and experience. They have the cultural center, I think is what it's called, where you can do arts and crafts and things like that. And that part really is very unique, and I really enjoyed the fact that they had that. We caught the Rush a Junkanoo show, and a Junkanoo celebration show, and it was so great. It's short, I mean it lasts like 10 minutes or so, but it was so great to see the dancing, and Mickey and Minnie come out, and then they do a parade, and you go into the island a little bit more, and you can dance with the performers and stuff like that. But it's such a great kind of experience to kind of get that Bahamian culture, get ingrained in that was really great. I really do like a Lookout. I think it's not as shady. Obviously, Disney has just built this island. It is less, or this portion of the island, because it is part of a bigger island. But it is obviously Castaway Cay has had more time to mature with their foliage and stuff like that, and Lookout definitely hasn't had that time. I think it's been less than a year since it's been open, so I think with time it will become very lush and even more beautiful than it already is. But for right now, it is definitely it is still kind of basic in that regard. It's not totally lush. But it's still beautiful. I mean, the island itself is gorgeous, and we really definitely enjoyed our time there. The family beach is great. And another really great part about it is you can walk from the family beach to the adult beach. We did that multiple times. Where we'd be in the family beach or the main area where the celebrations were and stuff like that, and we walked to just along the shore back to the Serenity Bay beach, which was so great. Had there was obviously a little. It was a full ship, so getting a spot was a little difficult. A chair and stuff like that. So you do want to get off the ship a little bit early. Obviously, Brian and I are not early birds, so we didn't get off the ship early. But we found chairs and we got settled in and stuff like that. So that was good. We had on the island, there's True True and True True Barbecue, True True Barbecue 2, and then there's I think it's this what's Serenity Bay Barbecue, and we went to that one. Again, a really great meal there, really fantastic. They do have I believe they have the steaks there as well, but it was really good. Really good potato salad, not gonna lie. They have fantastic potato salad. So that's what we ended up getting, and some other stuff, some barbecue and stuff like that. But it was I got the barbecue chicken, which was really good too. They don't have cookies there, but they do have ice cream. They have and in the adult area, it's not the soft serve. They actually have like scooped ice cream, and then they put toppings on top, which was really good.
I could do that.
Yeah,
I could settle for that.
There's not a 5K course, is there?
There is not. However, I did see online this week that there was a pin that did say "Lookout K 5K." So Lookout Key 5K. There may be one coming. Don't know. It's just total.
It's going to debut for when we're on it.
It doesn't.
Exactly.
We don't have to have a 5. We don't have to have a 5K at every destination. Seriously. And I'm a runner, but we don't have to have one at every island. I'm serious. Like seriously, we don't have to have one.
Oh, and then there's a tram to get you from the once you walk to the from the ship to the main part of the island. Then there is a tram that actually takes you to Lookout. Which definitely you want to make sure you take the tram. Do not walk. You can't. I don't think you can walk it, but don't walk it. There's also a nature trail as part of it. We didn't do that, but I'm sure it would be lovely to experience the nature trail as well. So it's a great little island. I really liked it. I really
can't wait to check it out. It's a new destination, new experiences, right? I mean, it's going to be beautiful. It's shared with Princess. Princess has the next kind of lot down the way on the island, and you got to hear the Love Boat.
I did, and I sent it to you. I'm like, oh my God, Mike, they're playing the Love Boat theme song.
And speaking of other friends, Ben Lappin was on the Love Boat. Now, he was out off of Los Angeles. He was down by Mexico, but he was actually on Princess at the same time. So I was getting all kinds of Love Boat and love. And actually, I did Mike in the Midwest about the Love Boat this week.
So many of your people were cruising, Mike.
I know. Everybody was cruising.
Like Pam's cruising now. And
exactly. Ben was on the Love Boat. Rikki sees the Love Boat out there with the horn. It was like, oh my gosh. Anyway. So let's talk dining. You kind of talked on Wednesday about some of your favorites at Palo. You talked about one of your best meals, Enchanted Garden.
Yes.
You kind of talked about a little bit of Animator's Palette on the fantasy, but any other outstanding any snacks, any things that caught anything we haven't hit?
So we did Palo dinner on Pirate Night. I do not like Pirate Night menu. So I always try to figure out which night is Pirate Night. And there is a little hack to figuring that out. You got to look on the app and see when they're having the Pirate League. Yeah, and then that'll tell you when they're doing Pirate Night. So I booked it and had a great server. She was our server for brunch as well. And I just had a fantastic meal. I got the gnocchi, which was so good. And of course I got the souffle. I mean, you can't go to Palo without getting the souffle. I'm just, it's not a possibility. I'm just saying. I mean, you can, but I mean, did you really go to Palo? It's not
recommended.
Yeah, exactly. Did you really go to Palo if you didn't get souffle? So, and then another thing that we took advantage of a lot is the Cove Cafe, which is the coffee shop. Honestly, this became such a home for us. We had such a good time with the cast members there. They became friends by the time you're all said and done. But one of the cool things about the coffee shop there is, yes, it does cost money to get the the lattes and stuff like that, but it's not terribly expensive. Or if you're Brian and you've had a stressful day with work stuff, you can get a shot of whiskey.
Nice.
So there's that.
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, also you can get the little card where you get like your bonus,
Which is
thing
what
too.
I ended up doing. Yeah. So you can get. They have
Mallory got that.
a loyalty card basically, and you get 5 stamps and then you get a free coffee. So I definitely took advantage of that. One of the cool things too is they have the imprinter, so it will imprint a Disney character on the top of your latte, which is really kind of cool too. And here's a little hack: if you do get to say Castaway and you missed breakfast because you slept in, you can grab a pastry at the Cove Cafe. It is part of, and everything else is closed. You can grab a pastry at the Cove Cafe, and that you don't have to pay anything extra for that. So grabbed a croissant, which was a fantastic croissant. Oh my gosh, it was warm and delightful. And sat out on the deck and had it and my coffee, and it was perfect. So that was a good breakfast morning too. So did that. Had, of course, ice cream from Mike Wazowski's Ice Cream. And then we had cabanas the day that we got on the ship, which was good. They have the crab legs, which were yummy. Oh my gosh, so good. And breakfast a couple times at cabanas as well. Had breakfast at Royal Court. Royal Court is, I enjoyed the meal there as well. It's not my favorite, but restaurant overall. But I definitely enjoyed my meals there. They were very solid. So nothing really to complain about there either. But yeah, it was dining is I mean, it's Disney Cruise Line, so like dining is going to be top notch. I'm just going to say, and if there's anything that you don't like, please tell your server. One of the nights I like I said, my server, Lazar, he was so great and he gave all these recommendations. And of course, one night I did not listen to him. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to get the pork chop. And that was a huge mistake. So I got the pork chop.
So
I cut into it and I was like, this is the toughest pork chop I've ever had in my entire life. And it was funny because I told him, I was like, this is a really tough pork chop. Can, I get something different? And he like cut into it and like sliced it like butter. And I'm like, of course you did. And then like, I thought he was going to he stabbed at it, grabbed some of the risotto, and I thought he was going to feed me. And I'm like, are you feeding me this?
They will. They're working for tips, man. They'll here comes it down the airplane up in the hangar.
Yeah, exactly. And he's like, no, I'm just handing it to you. I'm like, oh, okay, that's good. But yeah, I ended up getting a steak later that night. I was like, yeah, let's just switch that for the steak that you suggested. So, definitely listen to your server. I'm just going to say that the best tip. But yeah, the dining is always top notch. So it was good.
So, because we're running a little long, but what about like trivia? Is there anything like that? Like any other highlights?
Yeah, so I do have another highlight. So we did Castaway Key as well. Again, just kind of lounged on the beach for the majority of the day. But while we were, Brian, like I mentioned before, Brian and I got the rainforest pass, and this is where we do our best thinking, is in the rainforest room in the hot tub.
Nice.
Yeah, exactly. So we were talking about our next cruise. So we have plans. We're debating what we're doing for the next cruise. We've already got our next vacation kind of semi-planned. So that was step one. But the other thing that we were talking about is Brian was kind of looking at things and he's like, hey, what is there to do? Actually, no, this was on deck 4. He's like, what is there to do on, Castaway? Is there any, because we hadn't done any excursions or anything like that on the ship. And, I was like, oh, let's look at, the itinerary of everything they have. And of course they have, the snorkeling that you can do and the glass bottom boat. And keep in mind, this was a day before Castaway, maybe 2 days. And so we were looking on the app and we saw parasailing. And he's like, oh, I've never been parasailing. And I said, yeah. Oh, I have, it's a lot of fun, it's really great. And he's like, you want to do it? And I said, are you sure? Because remember, I live with Mr. Fiscally Responsible. So I knew how much it was. And I was like, are you sure you want to go parasailing? And he's like, yeah, let's go do this. So I said, oh, okay. So we went up to the Port Adventures desk and we booked it.
There's a hack to that, because I signed up Mallory and her cousin when we went on the past summer. We went to the Eastern Caribbean on the Fantasy, and I signed them up because the 2 times before I signed them up, it got canceled. That parasailing always gets canceled because if it's any kind of windy, gets canceled all the time. So most of the time you don't have to pay for it. Unfortunately, this past time it was good weather and I had to pay for it. They had a blast. They loved it. Yeah. They got awesome pictures. But I was like, crap, they're going to have to really go and I have to pay for this. But they had a fun time. But I was like, dang, I got to pay for 2 now.
Yeah. It was not cheap. I will admit that.
I know it was.
You're
and
selling
I got to
on
double
Castaway
those.
Key. There are other places you can Parasail that's a lot cheaper. But, it's a little iffier as well.
That's my gambling right there. And I lost that game.
Exactly.
But they had fun. They had fun.
But I will say I got the money shot. So I have the shot of us parasailing and the Disney fantasy in the background. So I paid for my money shot. Let's just be perfectly honest. But it was such a cool experience. I have video of it. You can see it on Disney World After All socials because I've already posted it. And you can just see the look of terror on Brian's face. I'm excited because I'm like, let's go, let's do this, let's have fun. And because I'd been parasailing before, so I was like, this is great. And so and then we take off, and he has more look of panic on his face. And then we get up in the air, and I'm like waving my arms around, like going, this is fantastic. And he's like holding onto the rope so tight, and I'm like, hold my hand, So I made him hold hands with me while we were parasailing. But it's about maybe a 5-10 minute ride. You have other people on the boat with you. It is not put on by Disney Cruise Line. There is a separate entity that does it.
It's totally not.
Just keep that in mind. It is a separate entity. One thing to also keep in mind that I did not is they do accept tips.
Yes.
So make sure you have cash. I didn't carry cash with me, so oops. So just kind of keep that in mind because I wasn't, thinking about it at the time. And also I don't think I had a lot of cash before I went on the cruise in the first place on me. So, because again, I don't carry cash. I'm a millennial. I don't carry cash. So, so just keep that in mind. But yeah, it was a fantastic experience. I would highly recommend it. So this is my tip for them. I'm giving them a recommendation of you should absolutely consider doing parasailing if you are on Castaway Key because they did a great job. I mean, it just did a top-notch job. I felt very safe in their hands. They sounded like they knew what they were doing. And again, you get that money shot of the ship in the background, so you can't pick a better spot to do parasailing. So.
I did it with Paige back in the day. It was a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
It was good. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So I mean, it sounds like the Fantasy is a great ship. I love to me the Fantasy because it's got O'Gills, it's got the tube. Mm-hmm. It's a wonderful ship. And to me, the Dream and the Fantasy, like as far as ships, flow the best. Like to get around the ship navigation. I mean, because I love the Treasure and I love the Wish, but they're choppy. They're still the layout of the ship's a little choppy. Yeah. Like because like deck 4 doesn't go all the way through, that kind of stuff. It bugs me.
We did many walks on deck 4.
See, and I love that. So did Pam and I. Like, 'cause we were on the 7-nighter, and like we didn't run, but like after dinner, because we were on a 7-night cruise, like we just walk a few laps, because we had 3 sea days, so we just walk.
So we got the popcorn bucket. Another tip is get the popcorn bucket the first night.
Yep.
This sailing did not have specialty popcorn buckets, so I was very sad. Won't. But they did have a Disney Treasure one, which I thought was weird, but okay. So we got that one, and we had popcorn at least once every single night of the cruise. Walking around deck 4, eating our popcorn, before dinner. And we attempted to play shuffleboard a few times. I have no idea if we played it right.
Nobody does. I don't think. Yeah, you shoot the pucks and have fun.
That's pretty much what we did. We were like, I think this is how you do this.
Unless you're like from New England or something, or like Florida. Yeah.
So, but it was a lot of fun. Deck 4 was great, and just walking around the ship was good. So it was good. I agree with you. There's definitely a better layout on the Dream and the Fantasy, and I hope. Because we know the Destiny will have the same layout as the Wish and the Treasure. I hope the next ships will have more of that feel of the Fantasy and the Dream and have more cohesiveness. I really do hope that will be the case.
And the Magic and the Wonder also have that cohesiveness.
Yeah,
too.
They do.
They're very easy to navigate. They're they're actually probably easier than the Fantasy and the Dream because they're probably tighter. And it'll be I can't wait. So Rikki, sounds like you had a great. I was so jealous because you guys were both cruising and I was just sitting at home watching. Jealous, but no, I wasn't jealous.
Let me give one more tip before we head out. Here's your tip of the day. After you get a new cell phone, please make sure you take your cell phone out of your pocket before you get in the hot tub.
Oh my gosh, you guys are like accident prone.
No, just my husband. That sucker got boiled for a good 15 minutes in the hot tub. he realized that it was in his pocket. And he was like, babe, I don't want to tell you this, but remember that new phone that you just bought me like literally 2 days ago? Yeah, it doesn't work anymore.
That's how that's basically how I got my first iPhone in the lazy river at Coke Park the day before our wedding. I did the same thing. I jumped in with it in my swim trunks.
Our server attempted to get us a rice. I was like, do you have rice? So he went into the storage. That's why I said Lazar was the best. He went in the storage, got us rice for me in a bag. They didn't have, a Ziploc bag, so I just put it in a bag. Yeah, that sucker didn't come back. So I'm sitting in the rainforest room ordering him a new phone. So that was literally, he had the phone delivered to my mom and dad's the day we got off the ship. So don't,
check all pockets.
Your pockets.
Check your pockets before you get in the hot tub. That's good advice.
Yeah.
I mean, it can save you a lot of
definitely.
money. Makes your cruise more expensive.
I said, who puts pockets in swimsuits? Why is that?
No, they always have them. I mean, you got to put your room key in there or something,
He wore his room key. No, who puts pockets in swimsuits? Don't do it. So anyway, he had 2 new phones in the course of 48 hours.
He just didn't like that one. That's just how
no, he did say that the second one I bought him is better. So
smart man. Brian's a smart guy. All right, well, we're going to jump out of here and let everybody get on with the weekend. But man, it's going to be great to be on a cruise. I can't wait for July. You got me super pumped. We're going to be sailing with our friends. We got a lot of podcast listeners. We're going to have a blast. Disney Magic. I think we're at about 130 days ish.
Nice.
To the cruise.
That's awesome.
Can't wait. Yes.
I'm so jealous of you guys.
Oh.
I wish it would have worked out. Stupid all-star game.
Well, I mean, your husband's an all-star. What are you going to do?
Yeah, I know,
That's all you
right?
can say.
Yeah.
All right, don't forget, our show brought to you by the Magic for Less Travel. We'd love to help you plan your next Walt Disney World, Disneyland, or Disney cruise. If you sail with Disney Cruise Line, we'll get you great onboard credit to enjoy during that cruise and spends just like cash, and you can do all the fun stuff. You can parasail with that money. You can play with the stingrays at Castaway Cay. You can buy drinks with that money. You can buy merch on the ship, hats, quarter zips like Scotty G enjoys, all that stuff. It's great. So just come over today over to themagicforless.com. No additional cost to you. We'll take care of you right there. Also, don't forget our Amazon affiliate link. If you click that link, it supports our show when you do all your shopping. We really appreciate that. It's beourguestpodcast.com/Amazon. And thank you so very much to our Patreon supporters. You guys keep the show on the air. $5 a month is all it costs, and you get a bonus show called Mike in the Midwest. Come over this week. We'd love to have you. Patreon.com/beourguestpodcast. Give us a follow on the social media. I'm at beourguestmike on Instagram, Twitter, and Threads. You can check out Scott at Epscott, EPSCOT, but also at Must See Adventures over on YouTube. So check out all the stuff over on YouTube this weekend. Subscribe, like. Scott, anything going on this weekend over there real quick?
This weekend, I should have a new series starting. It was our Thanksgiving Walt Disney World visit, so episode 1 should be dropping. I'll say I was a little grumpy that day. I was on 2 hours of sleep.
That makes it better.
My cabin didn't get ready till 6 p.m.
Way
so
better.
A little grumpy.
Hey, Grumpy Scott is good for ratings. We want to see
it. It is
because you're never grumpy.
I did say I was editing it a little bit today, and I heard myself say I just want to run over these golf courses in my car.
Oh my God!
It shouldn't be parked here. So see, I would never run over anyone.
Dude, that's going to get twice the downloads of any other episode. I'm telling you, man.
It's going to get so many dislikes, but
it's good for ratings. It's like reality TV or something. The trash stuff always gets better ratings. So there you go.
This is true.
And check out Rikki at DisneyWorldAfterAll.com. She says she's got all the content from today's show, so check it out. You'll see the videos and all the good stuff. Mm-hmm. Rikki will be there, so we'll check that out.
Breakdowns of every single day. Yeah, we got it.
There you go. Yep. All right, no live show this weekend because Mallory is in state cheerleading championships, but we'll come back and have those next Sunday night. All right, so have a great weekend, everybody. So for Scott and Rikki, I'm Mike, wishing you a fun and safe weekend. Hang in there, stay safe, stay warm, stay healthy, and we'll see you real soon.
You've been listening to the Be Our Guest Walt Disney World Trip Planning Podcast. If you have questions, comments, or would like to be a guest on the show, please visit our website at beourguestpodcast.com. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you real soon.